Hi everyone, this is John with Sir Winston Honeybees. Today is Monday, July 3rd, 2023. It's 79 degrees outside. We're in Northeast Ohio. It's a beautiful day, but rain is in the forecast, so we're going to get into these hives and work kind of fast today. We have a couple of things we want to do today. First of all, I was in the hives a week ago, even though I didn't videotape it. I had a friend with me and wasn't sure that he wanted to be on camera. So 2 weeks ago, we did an inspection. And we saw queens in both hives. Actually, we saw a queen in the green hive. We're going to call that one actually the green hive from now on instead of hive number 1. And this one, the blue hive. That makes it simple. We can identify it like that. So we did see a queen. The blue hive was queen right. And we did spot a queen in the green hive. So last week when I was here with my friend, we spotted that queen again. And we marked her with a red pen because red is the 2023 color. And we looked at the hive number 2, which is the blue hive, and we saw that that hive was queen right. We didn't spot the queen, but we knew that the hive was doing well as far as the queen is concerned. So today we want to do 2 quick things. Green hive queen was a newer queen, just started laying, and so we want to check the brood pattern, everything else going on in that hive. And the reason for that is because now that we're kind of at the end of June, beginning of July, we start to see a decline in the number of bees in the hive. So we've kind of reached our zenith as far as a number of bees in a hive, and things are slowly going to start to decrease. And the other thing is, as the number of bees start to decrease in the hive, we also see the number of mites start to increase. So today we're not going to do a mite check. What we're going to do is we're going to check, make sure both hives are queen right. But the other most important thing that we're going to do is we're going to check the supers for honey, because we did notice that there was a lot of honey the last time. And if the supers are full, I'm going to add 2 empty supers on top of the supers that I have right now. And the reason for that is that I'm not going to harvest the honey right now because I'm going away for 2 weeks. So today's going to be my last inspection in 2 weeks, and that's a good thing. You don't want to be in there too much. So as long as the hives are queen right and everything looks healthy in there, we're going to check for honey, and we're going to add some supers today. We're also going to add some a little bit of food, probiotics, for the bees' guts, something that I picked up at a bee conference. It was the Tri-County Beekeepers Conference in Worcester, Ohio, back in March. And so we'll add that to the hives today. I'm not really going to get into that today. One other thing that I want to mention is that I'm using a new smoker today because my old smoker is kind of covered in creosote right now. So I will have a video coming up on how to clean your smokers of creosote. And if you don't want to wait for that, if you're impatient, look up Frederick Dunn. He has a video on how he cleaned his smokers of creosote. So I got a brand new smoker that I bought at Blue Sky Bee Supplies in Ravenna, which is not too far from us here in Northeast Ohio. And I do want to warn you that smokers get very, very hot. I accidentally just touched it just for one instance and got a little burn, as you can see. Got a little blister on my finger right there. So just be careful, obviously, around bees and around beekeeping equipment because you can't get hurt. All right? So once again, we're going to check blue hive and green hive, make sure they're queen right, and we're going to add supers if we need to get some honey so that at the end of July, beginning of August, we can harvest this honey, bottle it up, and just kind of let the hive start getting ready for the winter. We might be able to harvest some autumn honey, but for now, let's see what we got. So let's get into these hives and see what's going on in them. All right, so let's go ahead and start by smoking the bees at the entrance. I'll tell you what, they're doing these beautiful orientation flights right now in the front entrance. So this hive, I'm guessing, is in really good shape. Seems really happy. So we're going to check the supers for honey first. Then we'll go ahead and just check, make sure everything is going okay as far as the queen is concerned. Remember that we have now are the bee barns, and the bee barns are these 2-inch insulated hives with these specialized frames, and the frames are basically 1 deep and 1 medium deep or long, and it's a special construction which was of course invented by a guy called Jim, and his YouTube page is Vino Farm. He came up with the bee barn concept, which a few beekeepers are using it now, including me. It basically means that there's going to be a little bit less work, check less frames. We're only going to check 10 frames, and we're not going to lift any deep boxes from one to the other as we normally would have checked 20 frames if you're doing a too deep setup. So let's go ahead and get into the hive and let's check the super right now for honey. One other thing about bee barns have no top entrance. So you can see there's no top entrance, as with a lot of hives, and this is closed off. The only reason we're going to use this is to put a feeder, which I haven't used a feeder at all so far this year. So let's see what's going on inside these hives. Give them a little bit of smoke just to kind of calm them down, but this hive was actually a little bit aggressive, but not too bad. All right, I'm seeing a hive beetle. So that's one other thing that we're going to have to take into consideration is the number of hive beetles we see in our hives right now. So we'll go ahead and squash that one as soon as I can isolate it. All right, so let's take a look at what our honey situation is looking like in this hive right here. All right, well, this frame right here is not drawn out for starters. So, but the frame next to it I can see is. So we'll just go ahead and probably checkerboard this. And checkerboarding is a process where you're going to put an empty frame in between two full frames. But I do see some beautiful comb in the next frame. As I said, nothing going on in this frame. Actually, we've got some nice new comb in here. So checkerboarding should be okay, but as you can see, we've got nectar being deposited. And of course, we won't see any eggs or anything else. A little bit of pollen or bee bread. And we shouldn't see a queen obviously in here because we're using a queen excluder, and I'll show you what that is in a second. But we do see that we've got some drawn out frames. So that's pretty good. Oh yeah, so lots of nectar. This has some weight to it. Nectar, we've got some capped honey. Again, same here. Capped honey here. So this is looking really good, right? Good shape. And as we look across, obviously, take a look. One of the nice things about the bee barn is that you can walk around. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm seeing some capped honey all the way into here. So this is wonderful. This is really, really good. So let's go ahead and just return this frame. Like I said, we're checkerboarding, so we're putting this frame in between two full frames. And of course, the theory is that the bees will fill this out. So this is a good sign, right? Because this is honey for us. All right, new smoker smoking like an old locomotive right here. Looking good. I'll do a video sometime about how I light a smoker. Different people do it different ways, but for the most part, everybody does it the same way. Go ahead and lift this super. I expect this super will be pretty heavy. Oh yeah, that is heavy. All right. So as you can see, we got our queen excluder. If you're new to beekeeping, a queen excluder is basically a device where a queen bee can't get through. You don't want a queen bee in your honey because you don't want a queen bee laying eggs and other, you want your honey to be clean. So as long as your queen stays below, your honey will be clean. You obviously would want to filter your honey, but the less work, the better. Let's see what we got. Again, we're just checking for brood, the brood pattern. These outer frames, we expect to just see honey and nectar. But we got to be careful, because sometimes the queen does like to hang on those as well. And we didn't spot the queen the last time we were here. So this is super heavy, full of honey, but I do see a good amount of brood on this backside. Honey on the top, brood on the backside. Beautiful brood pattern. Look at that. So this hive is queen right, and honestly, there's nothing more I'm going to check in this hive. We got the perfect setup right here. We've got honey, right? This is capped honey for bees, and we've got lots of beautiful brood. That means that the queen is doing what she's supposed to be doing, and we've got a perfect frame right here. And you can see in the center the more bubbled up frames. That's your drone frame, or drone, not frames, cells. So those are your drone cells. Gonna take a quick look to see if that queen is on this frame, but I'm not going to look very hard. I didn't spot her. I'm just putting this back. Like I said, this hive has orientation flights in front. Really good sign of a healthy hive. And as you can see, everything we see here looks healthy. So for now, our purpose is to check to make sure that this hive is queen right. Before I close up though, I'm going to add a little bit of nutrition and just a little of that dust on here. So this is a Super DFM from Strong Microbials, and just going to add a little bit of this on top. Won't hurt them. Last thing also, I'm going to just add a hive beetle trap. This is nothing more than a undeodorized dryer sheet. So I'll put one here, and it won't harm the bees, but the hive beetles will get stuck on it. I'll go ahead and close this hive up. And this hive is good to go. I was going to put a thermometer in here, but I don't need a thermometer until winter time, so we'll just close that up. Leave it as is. All right, so we're getting into the green hive right now. Smoke the entrance real quick so let them know we're in business. And let's see what's going on. This hive had a lot less bees. Might not need a super, but we'll see. All right, so we see some ants there. We can treat those with some cinnamon powder. It's not a big deal. Some drawn comb here as well. So we'll just let's just go right into the center. You do see this frame is drawn, and I see some capped honey as well. So I'm just going to pull this up, and you see got honey on this one, and on this side as well. I see honey on the next one. See what the first frame shows us. So you see drawn comb. There's really nothing else to do here. I mean, you see the frame is drawn, and there's nectar in them, so also good shape. Go ahead and pull this honey super off, and we'll take a look inside the hive. Take a quick look over here. Oh yeah, there's definitely lots of honey. We're gonna have honey this year, folks, and I'm very excited about that. There we go. Oh yeah, this one's got some weight to it as well. All right, so we're just going to check to see if the queen is laying eggs in here. We've got a new queen. So a few weeks ago, I opened this up, and there was a small virgin queen in here. Then the week after, or 2 weeks after that, I opened it up, and that queen was fat. Last week, when I came in with my friend Joe helped me out, and we went ahead and marked this queen with a red dot, which again is the 2023 color for queen. So I'm going to do a full inspection of this and see what's going on. Now we do want to be careful, because the last time I opened this hive, I didn't spot the queen right away. I put this frame on the ground, and wouldn't you know it, the queen was on that frame. Fortunately, she stayed on it and came back on. But that was a little bit of a oops moment for me, and hopefully you want to be more careful. So we'll pull this out, and I see drone brood right away in the back side. On the front side, spotty brood, but I see a lot of larvae and some newer eggs. So we do have a marked queen on this, but I do want to be careful. And again, the larvae are just a few days old. So an egg is about 2 days old, and then it becomes a larva. Feeling pretty confident the queen's not on here, but I'm going to be cautious and just put the frame back and not put the frame on the ground. I do have enough space to move some frames about and to be able to work the frames without setting one on the ground, which is usually the common practice, to set that first frame on the ground. But after last week, I want to be a little bit more careful, right? So while it looks empty now, next week should all be capped brood. And I see some larvae in the center and moving out, like radiating out. So again, this is another frame that's in pretty good shape. As you can see, if you can see in the center, you see some larvae and everything else. And I see some eggs on the outer edges here, so this queen's been on here in the past couple of days. So we have a healthy queen, folks, and that's good. They're not drawing this comb on this frame for some reason. This comb does not get drawn. But the queen is laying eggs in this hive. Just from the number of bees in here, I think this hive swarmed a few weeks ago and is now rebuilding population, or absconded. But, and there she is. See her right there under my finger? She's right there right now. She's marked. She's coming across the middle. There she is. Alright, so you can see her right there. So we'll carefully put this frame back in, and we'll say good job, queen. Alright. I think we'll call that a day, right? Go ahead and add the nutrition and the hive beetle traps, and we'll put the queen excluder back on, and we'll close this one back up. All right, well, that's our inspection for today. Just to wrap up real quick, in a blue hive, we saw a great brood. Didn't spot the queen, but we didn't even look for her. We added a honey super because the honey super that was there, the one that's below, chock full of honey and nectar. And that one's looking good, so we're on our way to some honey harvest this year. And then we went into our green hive. Did spot a queen over there. Population not as much, but that queen is a newer queen, and she is laying. There's lots of brood in there, lots of eggs, lots of larvae. So we're going to see a little population explosion in our green hive. Added a honey super as well because our lower super also full of honey. So I guess that'll do it for today. I'm pretty excited about the whole thing. And a couple other things that we also added. We added some nutrition for the bees, and also some hive beetle traps, which is basically like dryer fabric, but it doesn't have anything on it. So hive beetles will get their little legs entangled on it, and usually they get pulled down to the bottom of the hive. So I'm gonna have to take some frames out later this year to pull those out, but at least we're going to be able to manage those beetles. So in a couple of weeks when I come back, 2.5 weeks when I come back from it's not a vacation, it's kind of a working vacation, we're going to go ahead and take an inspection, see how our supers are looking, and we might be able to start harvesting some honey. At that time also, we're going to have to start doing some mite inspections. So we have to look to see how our mite count is doing. So we're going to do an alcohol wash and then start treating with whatever is appropriate to treat at that particular time, depending on the temperature and everything else. All right, so again, if you like my videos, what I'd like you to do is make sure you subscribe down below and like my videos because I want to keep doing them for you. It's a lot of fun. Again, this is my 3rd year in beekeeping, and I think I'm getting better at it. Well, we'll see. Okay, of course, if you have any comments, make sure you leave those below as well. Until next time, everybody, I'm John with Sir Winston Honeybees, and happy bees, everybody.